All right. So this is 29th of November 2025. Wanted to have a look, also to dig deeper into other assets. Please take into consideration that anything that I do mention it on this video, that is just my own opinion about, like, let's say the market. It's not a financial advice, or it's not even an investment advice. So, um, looking in regards to Bitcoin. Just reviewing a few things, like, let's say, from previous week, on what exactly we were talking about, in regards to how exactly the market moved early into the week, moving all the way to the upper side. Then after that, we got, like, let's say, Asia, that it's already formed. We moved at somewhere at around these levels. Then we kept consolidating, sweeping the lows, sweeping the highs, kept consolidating here, and then we started pushing to the upper side. Now, I want just to go back to really a high time frame, just to see how exactly we would be, looking to close the candles, and then what exactly the candles that we are dealing with it. Um, Still, for me, like, let's say the big or the high time frame, it's more that I'm still looking as, like, let's say, for Bitcoin, just for an intra-week or intraday trades. I'm still I don't see a reason for why exactly you're going to be positioning yourself in some kind of swing longs. It's much, in my opinion, it's just much better, instead of round tripping, like, let's say, the trades, it's just to consider it as a weekly trade, that it's gonna save for you, a lot of hassle. That's just my opinion. Again, looking at the monthly candle, I would say, pretty much we printed the low, we printed the high. I doubt that in the coming, like, let's say, two days, that we're gonna be coming, like, let's say, all the way to the upper side, or coming all the way to the downside. I do see it as a very low probability. So for me, most probably that we do have it as for now, that we printed the low, we printed the high, and I would say that you need really, like, let's say, to close fully above the 96, 97K region for this monthly candle, in order to start looking for things to turn, like, let's say, into, next month, to start just, like, trading to the upper side, and to start, like, trading into the upper band of this monthly candle, or maybe even in the previous monthly candle. But without, like, let's say, this, then still I do consider that we are seeing, like, a high time frame sell pressure, that it's coming from this monthly candle. So because of this, we need to look into things for how exactly December could start. Could December, like, let's say, still push and start pushing to the upper side, and then after that to start coming to lower levels? It's the highest probability, with the way how exactly usually I do see things. But till we're gonna start the monthly candle, we don't want to rush anything. We want just, like, to talk about the price of what exactly we do have now, and then from there, depends on what exactly we are getting on Monday, we start looking into things into a kind of a different price action. Now, with the price that we saw it on Friday, um, I don't consider, honestly, that Friday it's gonna put, like, let's say, a high for the move. It's rare for me to see, like, let's say, or to consider that Friday it's gonna put a high for the move. So, looking at a little bit lower time frame, and looking at the structure that we do have it at around these levels, and how the price, like, let's say, came and just started consolidating, then pushed to the upper side. We came, definitely we swept this area. I don't consider it, like, really as a major area. Now we do have this area also, that we came to it and we swept it, which is fine. It is definitely a major area, I would say, on the chart. But I do have, like, like, more important areas on the chart, other than this, or this, or also, by the way, this and this. So for me, looking at this kind of price action, this level in terms of liquidity, they are much more important than these two. So the idea of me seeing the price running toward these levels, I would say there is a higher probability for me to see the price running toward this before taking, like, let's say, the move to the downside. So how this can play out, that's the most important thing, because that's what we really care about. Now we do have, like, few probabilities here. Um, One of them, I will give it, like, let's say, a low probability, which is especially that we already swept yesterday. but it's gonna get confirmed, like let's say within tomorrow. I don't put like let's say a lot of probability that the price is gonna start running from here. There is definitely a valid reason, but in that time we need to wait for tomorrow and see how exactly things could play out. But I do have another scenario that if the price is gonna come and is gonna sweep this area between today and tomorrow, maybe also early into Monday, that's very possible. If the price is going to do this, then you start coming, sweep this area. There is a decent probability that I see it, that we might get this as a full move from here. And then we see once we reach this area, once we get Monday, what exactly we're going to be getting all over, like let's say in the coming few days. Now, there is a valid, like let's say, possibility that I do look at it that yes, this is what I do prefer, a sweep of this area and then an immediate reclaim and then an immediate price action to see it from around these levels. The price could drop lower, but the only thing that I do care about it's this area. I would like to see a sweep and then immediate reaction into this area. And then from here, we start looking into some kind of a moves to the upper side. Now, take into consideration that a sweep of this area can fail at somewhere at around these levels, which is these highs. And then from here, yeah, that's a valid scenario that you might see it as an example for the price to reject from here and then to start rolling. By the way, it can happen with this sweep, or it can happen also from here to see, like, let's say, the drop to the downside. Any move above this level, then you will be expecting these highs and also a push to the upper side, like, let's say, to continue. My preferable scenario that I would like really to get involved in it, it's a sweep of this area. The moment that you get a sweep, the moment that you get a reaction, then in that time, that's for me a better play and a better scenario, like let's say to look at it in order to come and to start trading into the 94, 95 region. That's the highest probability for me to see it because this move, if I'm looking at it on a low time frame, this is for me a move that it shows me some strength that I don't have to rush the shorts. First of all, when you think really about it, like let's say on a high time frame, this move that you are getting it all the way to the downside, most of the move into this month to the downside, most probably that it already happened. So you don't want really to rush the short. Was this a valid short from this area into some kind of a swing failure and all these kind of things? For me, yeah, it was, but I wouldn't take it. Then in that time, what could be the probability? Well, if this move was, as an example, an aggressive move to the downside, then you get into these kind of a bounces where you continue looking for the short. But this move, it's not really an aggressive move to the downside that you continue just ripping lower non-stop. All you get it is a move to the downside and then a sideways, which is definitely it's the weekend. I know that. But this is also as a price action. It's not really showing for me a major weakness in order to think that done. We are just tripping lower and we are falling lower non-stop. And now, am I still expecting at some stage we're going to come and we're going to trade these lows and maybe even lower? Possible. Could be in December, could be in the new year, and then in the coming new year, it's very possible. But for me to think about it, that it will happen from here, that you already dropped enough in the fast in the past a few days, I wouldn't be looking for this just like to drop from here. Come sweep, like let's say some of the liquidities, move a little bit to the upper side, come into major areas that you lost it, that it was forming support. And when you lose, like let's say a support area, you would just like, think about it that if I lose a support area, then in that time I would trade toward it. And then from here, I will be expecting the support to flip a resistance. And then, you might see the rejection from here. But I don't have really to see it like, let's say, too early. So I am open to see the price and to see Bitcoin trading all the way to around this level, which is, I would say, the 96, 97, 98 region, before seeing the drop and before seeing the continuation to the downside. Before looking, like let's say, and before like seeing this, I really don't think that that's how exactly it's looking. Now, looking just separately on this weekly candle, I can't say that this weekly candle is as bad as an example as this. So this it's gonna put us into some kind of action here, that if I'm looking at this weekly candle, that it didn't come to take any kind of a liquidity on a high time frame, I'm not really looking into this to see that, look, it's just gonna fall from here. Well, if it's gonna fall from here, then fine. I wouldn't be just shorting it. I will just let it go, and then we plan for the next play and we see how exactly things it's gonna play out. So for now, there are, like, let's say, I would say there is the preferable scenario to come, like, let's say, to sweep this area and to sweep this liquidity from here, and then from here on any kind of a decent reaction to move and to take the longs, and then to look into the trade to come and to take the highs, and maybe to give us 1 to 2,000, like, let's say, to the upper side. From there we will see how exactly things it's going to play out, bringing us, like, let's say, to the major levels and the major areas that I will be looking at it, which is it's somewhere at around these levels. I would like really the 94,600 or 700 region to get tapped. I would like this here, this area. It's the area that officially you broke down from it, is the price to come and to trade toward it. Without it, I don't consider that this is mainly, like, let's say, some major area that this is important for the price to come and to trade toward it and then to reject from it. So I might be wrong on this, but for me, that's what I would like really to see. So I would like really to see something like this into tomorrow, I would say, and then maybe we're gonna start seeing early, like, let's say, toward the closing of the candle, or maybe into Monday, to start seeing the price moving to the upper side. If this is gonna happen within Monday, it's gonna be even 10 times better, because we're gonna be trading and we're gonna be relying on what exactly Asia high and Asia low of Monday it's gonna bring us. But still, I don't consider this is an area. Actually, we didn't get into any shorts on Friday, and still I do prefer, like, let's say, to see this move to the upper side, and then from there to see, like, let's say, the rejection. If we're gonna start dealing, like, let's say, with this area, could we come even higher than this? It's very possible. For me, if I'm looking at something in terms of what are the probabilities for the price really to come to it and to trade toward it, just give me a second. Um, so we can remove this and we can keep this. We can remove actually this. So for me now, the price can come all the way, like, let's say, to the downside, and can trade all the way also to the 100K. It's very possible. But for now, if I'm focusing on something, it's simply the following, which is this area we already swept it. I think on Binance, let me check if we already swept. We already swept it, so it's not really important, like, let's say, to look at it. But for me, yeah, that's how exactly I would look at it, that there is a decent probability to see the price still moving to the upper side. This is not really a weakness that you can say that, oh, I do have, like, let's say, massive weakness that it happened here. What are, like, let's say, the other probabilities that you might come, sweep the high, and then move a little bit to the upper side, then come back a little bit lower and reject from here, and then start trading to the downside? Fine. I would see, like, let's say, by that time, that this is, like, let's say, a major weakness on the chart. On the other side, the moment that you start coming and you start just, like, let's say, trading into this liquidity that we do have it here at these levels, then the moment that you sweep it and you're going to start trading to the upper side and you're going to start coming toward this area and you're going to start showing major weakness, for me, I do consider it that this is a higher probability, or, like, let's say, a decent area for me to look at the short. Could be, by the way, higher, all right? But I'm just saying, like, let's say, at around these levels, that this is, for me, it's a better risk to reward if I'm going to think about it, because this has the probability to come. I'm not talking about, like, where exactly the stop loss is. It depends on what exactly the price that we are printing it here. That by that time, I would be thinking about the price, like, let's say, to come and to trade somewhere at around the 94, 93 region. So for me, this is like a better, like, probability, or like, just the way how exactly I do look at it. So that's pretty much, like, let's say, in regards to Bitcoin. I still do see that, like, let's say, I'm not looking really into swings. I will just keep taking, like, let's say, the opportunity with the way how exactly we would be looking at it. Like, the same way of how exactly, like, let's say, you prefer, like, let's say, the move to the upper side. You don't rush the shorts, because for me, this wasn't like a valid short, to be honest with you. The way how exactly you are looking at the price, like, why you would be looking at this as a major weakness that you're gonna really interact into some kind of shorts. Now, is this a valid short? To be honest with you, at least it's much better than shorting this, because what do you have here? You do have, like, a really decent consolidation sideways without even coming and threatening any of the liquidity that you do have it here. So there is nothing for me at these levels to think about like any kind of a shorts. And that's why also where the last update that I told you about it, that you would be expecting the price to trade the 93, the 95. It traded the 93. Now we do see what exactly we're going to be looking at it. Again, I'm not really convinced that this is the high that we printed it at around these levels. Sorry, we need to bring this. I'm not convinced that this is the high. Possible that we put the high at around these levels. It's very possible, but I'm just not convinced that this would be the high. The structure for me when I'm looking at it, still I do see this is like, let's say, the way how exactly the price moved from here. It's more of that the price could still have more to give you before it's gonna start looking and it's gonna start dropping just like non-stop to the downside. You chopped everyone at around these levels between, by the way, both longs and shorts, because everyone longed here, longed the breakout, you got just like chopped out every single time. Breaking a trend line, you long, you just like liquidate them or you force them to close the trade. Then another long, as an example, a third long, a fourth long, and then you just like they gave up on the longs. And then after that, you just like squeeze all these shorts at around these levels, and then you start moving to the downside. I don't think that this is the way how exactly it should play out. For me, I do believe that it has more to give. Could it, by the way, just because of this sweep, to start trading higher from here? Yeah, it could, but I can't really give you any kind of an update or a scenario on it unless I do see how the price is going to form into tomorrow. But the preferable scenario for me is to see this liquidity to be taken out, which is we're not too far away from it, by the way. It's just like something around like a $1,000, the 98,000, sorry, 89,500. And yeah, that's mainly the play that I would really like to see. Most probably you're going to see like just a sideways movement here. If we get this, then you get even a reclaim that's even much better as a setup, and you would be looking like, let's say, for the price maybe to start trading, at least to take the highs and maybe to start trading into the 94, 95 region. I would like really all this liquidity to be taken out before looking into any kind of shorts. So that's, by the way, that's literally the whole overview that I do have it on Bitcoin. If something that you need to think about it, like, let's say, could Bitcoin really drop to the downside? It could drop to the downside definitely, because still it has like a lot of liquidity to the downside that it can come to it, but we deal with it just level to level. So I'm not going to be like, let's say, talking about lower levels till we're going to reach this area. As we are not at that area, then there is no point really to talk about it. For me, if I would really look into something like, let's say, into December, where Bitcoin could trade, you do have like, let's say, a decent probability that Bitcoin could trade between the 75 into the 99, 98 region. Could be even a little bit higher. Yeah, it's very possible. But I would just like anticipate December maybe to start giving this move, and maybe the major move could be, I would say, from mid of December, but preferably to be really in the beginning of the new year. I don't know where exactly it's going to happen, but if I would like really to see something on Bitcoin, I didn't see the signs of major reversals into, like, let's say, I would say that, look, we are bottoming the same way of how, as an example, we saw it and we just like played it here. The same way of how exactly we looked at it and we just like played it from around these levels. This is where exactly when you see, like, let's say, that done, we are bottoming, then yeah, that's done. You start looking into some kind of major reversals. I don't think that this is the bottom. Still, there is a decent probability, like, let's say, that this is the bottom, but at least me personally, I can deal with it as this is a bottom, and that's why I can just like anticipate into any kind of swing trades, and I'm gonna keep it just on a weekly plays into the monthly candle. We see how exactly December it's gonna act into the new month, and then upon that we can see things and we can plan for it, like, let's say, properly. But for now, I would consider, like, let's say, 75, 100K. It's very possible, to see some kind of a move, which is a decent, like, let's say, a 20, 25% move, like, let's say, up and down. That's the whole thing. Um, but yeah, as I said, like, it's for us, it's gonna be just like, let's say, the weekly plays and nothing, just like try to look into the trades between Monday, Tuesday, and you close it like, let's say, Thursday, Friday, you watch the price, you enjoy your weekend. Happy days. That's more than enough for me. I would like really to have a look also at other things, especially that the BTC still we don't have the weekly closing, we don't have the monthly closing. Still, once we're gonna get like, let's say, the closing of the candle, I will just give a detailed play on how I would expect, like, let's say, the play, and like how we do expect, like, let's say, the move specifically to come into December, and hopefully we're going to be able to navigate it in a proper way. But I would like really to get into major things when it's coming to Nasdaq and the S&P, especially like, let's say, with how exactly the price reacted. And I do consider, as for now, we already closed and we already, like, let's say, like, done. Like, by tomorrow, you're gonna have the monthly candle, which is, you're not trading, the market is not open. Nasdaq and the S&P, it is showing a strength with the monthly candle. And also the weekly candle that you do have it, that's a strength on the weekly candle. So I would expect Nasdaq and the S&P to continue to the upper side and still to trade to the upper side. I'm not seeing weaknesses here. So at least you will be expecting the highs to be taken out and maybe still to trade, like, let's say, toward higher levels. Both of them, they are looking decent to continue to the upper side. Both of them. When you see still, like, let's say, a demand that it's coming into this, you don't want to fade it. You really don't want to fade it. So for me, the S&P and the Nasdaq is still, it's looking fine to continue and to push to the upper side. I'm not talking about like major moves to the upper side, but you can't fade it blindly because still this is a demand. And as long as you are seeing a demand, you really don't want to fade it. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't trade early into a new, monthly candle to the downside. And then after that, to continue to start filling some of the inefficiency here into the wick that we do have it. It's very possible. But as a direction for me into December, I would easily expect, like, let's say that December it's gonna come to take the highs. So I can't just say that, oh, look, things are looking bearish and just like continue. There is nothing is looking bearish here. And we do have still this, by the way, quarterly candle that's still, it's looking decent. It's still looking nice. So if I'm expecting December that at least, like, let's say, to trade a little bit positive means that you're gonna take the highs. I don't know, like, could it be that you take the highs and then you just get a major deviation and you just like close it bearish? Possible. But for me, I still think that they are looking fine. They are looking definitely, like, let's say, better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is just like total different place than the S&P and the Nasdaq, which is, it's absolutely normal. Sometimes, like, let's say, there is the liquidity that is just, it's sitting for now into like, let's say, the S&P and Nasdaq. Could that again move back, like, let's say, into BTC and the crypto? It's very possible, but for the time being, you need to deal with it as I don't see the signs, to be honest with you. Will it come again and will it just like, move back, like, let's say, into Bitcoin? It's very possible, but we'll see how exactly things it's gonna play out. Now, in regards to gold and in regards to silver, I mean, that's a weekly candle. Honestly, I do expect this still to continue to the upper side. That's your monthly candle. It's still looking decent. It doesn't mean that you can just like, still like drop a little bit lower and then after that to trade to the upper side. It's very possible. I still think that gold, like, as a major play, I do expect gold to trade lower before start, moving and threatening, like, let's say, the 5K region. I do still expect, like, let's say, something like, let's say, gold to trade maybe the 3,700, maybe even a little bit lower before moving and just like trading the 5K. It's very possible for me. By the way, silver, it's totally different than gold with the way how exactly the run that you get it. Silver, it's totally different than gold. Silver as a move, this is not as aggressive as gold. This is just like the third month to the upper side, while you can see gold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months to the upper side. So it's really stronger. I'm not talking about a percentage, by the way. I'm not talking about a percentage. Gold printed a 136. Still, by the way, if you will be looking at the 3 months of silver, still you do have also a decent move where you printed, like, let's say, around the 100%, you know. But for me, I do expect this, if it's gonna start like giving us something, I would say maybe into the next quarterly candle where you start coming, taking the highs, get a deviation, lag at somewhere at around this level, then maybe start pulling back before you're gonna base out and then continue, like let's say, to start looking into higher levels. I would really like to see a major correction to happen on gold, especially with this kind of moves that we do have it and this kind of a price action that we do have it. We've been looking net longs, to be honest with you, since the price came here with this move to the upper side, with this move to the upper side. Most probably it was just like a long direction, long direction. I do think we're gonna be coming and we're gonna be trading this. I mean, everything honestly, it's gonna rely on seeing what exactly the price is gonna do around these levels, because you could reject from here, or you could just come take the highs, trade a little bit toward the highs, and then later on we will see how things is gonna play out. But it's looking fine for the time being. All with all also the shenanigans that it happened with the exchanges and also the brokers, it's the same thing of like happened with Bitcoin earlier and the crypto market earlier. But this came like let's say um into gold. My advice to you, especially that the spread is still like let's say too wide on gold with how exactly we closed Friday. My advice to you is just be patient into the open of Monday. Maybe don't avoid to trade like let's say Asia and just wait to look like let's say for any kind of trades on gold like let's say after Asia. So yeah, you need just like I think you need to allow it to for them, like let's say it's just to fix the spread. Same thing, by the way, on Nasdaq, on Nasdaq and the S&P. The spread is too high because of the problems that it happened. So you need just like to be patient into Monday. There could be some kind of just like unclear price action once Asia it's finished, then you can just take the normal direction. But my advice to you is just like not to rush trading Asia into Monday. Wait it like let's say to fully unfold, and you can just like execute accordingly. um that's in regards to the S&P and Nasdaq. They are looking, as I said, like for me they are looking really really nice, Nikki, keep an eye on it. It's going to give you really like let's say a cleaner direction, for what exactly the crypto market, if there will be more pain that it's going to come into the crypto market very soon, because Nikki is affecting like let's say the crypto market, like I would say directly. My expectations that you will see like let's say a major move that it's coming into the market in December, when it's coming to JPY USD. I think you will have a decent volatility into Forex in December, especially that it's related, like let's say, to JPY pairs. I think there will be like let's say some major movements when it's coming to the unwind trade. That it's affected by Bank of Japan and the interest rate decisions that they're going to be doing it. I think they're going to start getting again involved into the market, and my expectation that you will see some kind of maybe major reversals into JPY USD very soon into December. Maybe it's gonna take even a little bit, like let's say more time, but my expectation that you will see some major reversals, that it might come into a place like let's say into JPY USD. I'm gonna wait for this one to give you the plan on it, and I will share with you the plan also in the free Discord. So you're gonna have it there. Once I'm gonna start looking into some kind of reversals on JPY USD, then I'll be updating you accordingly. Something to keep an eye on it. It's not really fully basing out, but I would consider that it's too close to base out. This kind of a price action that you do have it here into US oil, it's just again giving me like let's say the feeling that we are not too far away from US oil to start. I mean crude oil, not US oil. Crude oil to start just like reversing. Nat gas, it's been going non-stop to the upper side, which is it's normal as it's energy. I do think at some stage into December, you're gonna start seeing this running to the upper side. We do still have some kind of a sell pressure that it's coming into this. I don't mind for the lows to be taken out one more time, and up on that we can see how exactly December it's gonna start. But just keep an eye on it. I'm not saying that it can't go lower. Actually, it can trade all the way down to somewhere at around the 49 and even maybe even a little bit lower. But my expectation that this kind of a price action that we formed it here, especially on the daily time frame, is just giving me the feeling that it's more of that it's ready for a bounce more than even looking for, just like a drop and a continuation to lower levels. That's just like again my expectations about US oil. Still, it didn't really make the move. We tried the longs from somewhere at around these levels all the way to the upper side. I tried again one attempt and the second attempt from here, but it didn't give like let's say a continuation. I'm still looking again for US oil at some stage to start shifting to the upper side. With what's exactly we would be looking at it more, it's Dixie, which is look for the time being, um, it's still a range bound for me. I can't really say like let's say that first of all you do have a clear like let's say that you don't have really a decision from November that it's like this is bullish or bearish. It's just indecision candle, which is normal because in terms of macros and in terms of the economy, it's just like you really didn't have enough information with the government shutdown, with all these kind of things. Now, as a structure, it has really the capacity to start moving to the upper side. It has the capacity to start moving to the upper side. But for me, I don't have a direct bias on it. So I'm gonna just wait for how exactly December it's gonna start. And it's simply usually we do have like this kind of a direction where if you are trading above one line, which is the monthly open, then you will be looking for the price to continue to the upper side. If you are trading under it, then it's a sell, right? So for me, there is no clear decision here. This is as a structure for me is just a sideway. There is a decent probability that you might come to trade all the way to the 102. This is where exactly I said that multiple times, and that's my opinion. Every single time you start seeing the Dixie trading above the 101, then this is where exactly you're gonna start seeing problems in the risky assets. As long as that is not happening, you're not really seeing a major pressure that it's coming into the risky assets. But there is something to take into consideration. We are heading into the end of the year. And if you will be looking at it, you need just like to look into like the same way of how exactly things are happening, that most of the moves really they don't happen end of the year. Most of the moves. Everyone just like we keep talking about like let's say end of the year rally, end of the year rally, end of the year rally. Yeah, that's very possible. I'm just saying that this rally, it's not like let's say something as a huge and extraordinary. It could be a rally. Usually you are getting into December some major moves, like let's say in the market to the upper side. But if I would be looking at like let's say the yearly candles for any asset, I don't think that as an example you got any asset into December that is just doubled or tripled. It's too rare, I would say, to see like let's say these kind of moves. And even if we are looking like let's say at the S&P or the Nasdaq, if you will be going back with time, so you got yourself like let's say this move that December it was actually red. And let's go back also with time a little bit. So as an example, you got really a decent rally, into just like as this move that you get it here. You got a decent rally, but it's not again. So I'm just talking that it's not really major. December here, you got also a decent rally. But it wasn't again something that it's just like that's the biggest rally that you'd be looking at it, because it's the end of the year, and usually the best when you are looking at every single year for how exactly it starts. So you got yourself this year as an example, January into December. You can see January from here, December here. So when you are looking at this move that it started from here, which is, let me put it, January. Let's assume that as an example, you traded January into, let's say, actually October. You got this move that it happened here, which is 21%. Yeah, this happened also between like, let's say 7, 8, 9% to the upper side. And then again, another like, let's say 10, 12% to the upper side. But the difference from here to here was like a 4% all over. So it wasn't like really that major. And also you got yourself another year where you started it here, which is that's January. You kept moving all the way to the upper side into November. Let's assume October. You really didn't move that much. That's like a 5% to the upper side into November, December. So you see what exactly I'm talking about, that usually, like, let's say you're not really getting much into into the end of the year. That's the whole thing. So you could still get, like, let's say, a move to the upper side, but the main plan, you really need to keep it in your mind that most probably we need to approach the market carefully in the coming month, and just like prefer maybe short-term plays. You're gonna have also decent days, like let's say that it's gonna be holidays and these kind of things. So, who's gonna be moving the markets? No one. Volatility could be there, but the volume, that's a problem. You don't have volume means that the moves, maybe it's not gonna sustain itself. So my point that take it easy into December and look to really approach the market to start looking into 2026 to be something that you would really like to look at it. And yeah, that's the whole thing, because by the end into the new year, you're gonna trade a full yearly candle. That's the probability that you do have it when you are looking at it. Like, you do have the probability to trade this yearly candle as an example. You do have the probability to trade this yearly candle as an example. That's a full year candle. So don't bother yourself that much into the last month to make, like, massive plans and massive investment and all these kind of things. I would say keep it light and just like, keep it smart into this, and then maybe look into 2026 on what exactly could bring you. And that's the whole thing. I really don't have, like, let's say, anything more than this, like, let's say, to talk to you guys about it. Things are looking fine into the normal, like, let's say, stock and all these things. It's looking nice. Crypto, it's definitely under, like, let's say, a pressure of the liquidity and all these things. So yeah, that's something to keep it in your mind. I want to talk a little bit about just like Nvidia on something to take into consideration with this kind of price action that you do have it here, and especially, like, let's say, with the way how exactly you got this monthly candle. Look, the monthly candle, it is putting like a pressure to the downside, but there are a few things also to keep it in your mind. First of all, we closed above this, and you can see where exactly it happened, that the last 3 days that you came, you swept the previous monthly low. I would say there is a kind of a decent probability that you might sweep the lows one more time, and then after that to reverse. So if, as an example, it started really, like, let's say, trading even from here to the upper side and started trading into this, as an example, daily candle, which is you got it within the earnings and the news and next day and all these things. Just just take into consideration that there is a decent probability that you might come to visit the lows. I'm not saying to go look into the shorts, but if you want to anticipate in any kind of a longs on Nvidia as a stock, just take into consideration that the highest probability for me to see it, that we might come to visit the lows at these levels, and maybe into the new monthly candle to come to sweep this. As a quarterly candle, you can see how exactly it's looking like. I'm not saying, by the way, that this is bearish. Let's assume that it's closed like this. Honestly, I don't see it bearish, because this is, for me, it's more into, it has a sell pressure, but it's not bearish. Means that, yeah, you could just, like, close it like this into next quarter to come to sweep the lows, and then after that to trade again to all-time high. But I don't think that you should take this as a major reversal, and this it's just stopping, and you're gonna start trading into lower levels. Usually these kind of candles, you need to treat it in a total different way when it's in some kind of an empty space or price discovery of how they call it, than seeing it just like a norm where exactly it appears, let's say, in a range. So that's something just to take it into consideration. Definitely, if you close this quarterly candle, it's gonna put also more sell pressure here. The weekly candle that you do have it, you got a nice demand from here, but remember that the monthly candle, it's showing you some sell pressure that it's coming here. So there is a decent probability that you might come to sweep the lows into December, or maybe even to trade a little bit lower before maybe again trading into some higher levels at around these levels. We'll be covering for you a little bit of stock into the normal weekly. Like, let's say, I would consider this to be, like, let's say, just an intro for the monthly. But we're gonna have, like, let's say, a normal 10-15 minutes, I would say, just like weekly update once we unfold Monday with Asia ranges. and then to set the direction from there, so it's gonna make things easier for you. Because as I told you, like for me, as a high time frame play or as a swing trade, I really don't. I'm not gonna put myself where exactly I'm gonna trade anything on a swing basis. But you know, it's up to you for how exactly you want to take things. That's something you can look into it and you can decide it accordingly. Um, that's the way how exactly I'm looking at it. So let's see how exactly things is gonna unfold from here. That's a play for me on what I covered for you on Bitcoin. And upon that we can see how exactly things it's gonna play out. As I said, for me, still I do I'm gonna give it an attempt of a long on a sweep of this area with really like a decent, like let's say risk management, which is a sweep and the reclaim, um just the stop losses under the sweep of this area, and then we will see what exactly things it's gonna bring us and how exactly it's gonna play from there. So that's all from my side, guys. You let me know if you do have any question, if you want us to review anything. If that's clear enough for you, then yep, we should be good for now. If anyone has any question, you just let me know. If not, I'm gonna give it just 10, 15 seconds. If we're not gonna have any questions, then you go, you continue enjoying your weekend, spend some good time with your families, and we're gonna see what exactly Monday is gonna bring us. And I wish you also to get a decent December. Wish you all the best, guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Cheers. Bye bye.